Play the vid. Well, we were saying we weren't going to come on till the game was over, but this game has gotten extremely close in the last minute 14 here. The New York Knicks lead the Cleveland Cavaliers 97-93. McNuggets with Earl and Anthony. It's a little post-production live Cavs post-game show. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm stressed. Earl. I can't hear Earl. Earl has gone mute.
Check your mic. Turn your mic
Yeah, stressed out is an understatement. It's been one of those games, man. They got off to a slow start, didn't really shoot well in the first half. A lot of easy missed opportunities at the basket. Outside of Donovan Mitchell, man, it was a tough watch in the first half. They've crawled back into this game. It's been gritty for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna break down the whole game in a sec. It is 1 minute and 5 seconds to play here. Donovan Mitchell now has 37 points. The most for a Cavalier in his playoff debut ever. He's been unbelievable. I'll look at the camera when the game's over, I promise. I can't put the game on TV and look at y'all and talk. I'm not ignoring y'all. Thanks to everyone already for tuning in with us. It's going to be a wild last 65 seconds here as the Knicks inbound the ball up 2 with a minute to play exactly. And the first thing we'll talk about is just Donovan Mitchell in general and how he put the team on his back to keep them in and what that means moving forward. But good defense.
I don't know how much of a delay I'm on, but
gotta get the rebound.
No.
The Knicks get their own offensive rebound. 38 seconds. Brunson. God, it's a killer. With the left hand. So I can't give you all exact play-by-play what's going on because that will get us kicked off YouTube. But the Cavaliers now trail 99-95 with 35 seconds to go. They do have the ball. I am sure JB Bickerstaff's drawing up a play here for Donovan Mitchell in some circumstance, but Brunson right there just drove right past Cedi Osman off that secondary possession. Allen unable to corral the rebound, and then Brunson ISO on Cedi Osman to the cup with the left hand. No help from Allen. He couldn't leave Mitchell in the lob spot. It's a tough break.
Brunson has just been lights out this second half.
Is he the best back-to-the-basket offensive scorer under 6 foot in NBA history? It's crazy.
It's some of the shots he was making on this defense shouldn't be possible at that height. I don't know.
Duke and ball, man. He won a championship at Nova. He's not shy in these moments, and we're about to find out who else on the Cavs outside of Donovan Mitchell can step up in a moment like this. I see someone in the chat already talking about Danny Green. We're going to mention Danny Green and talk about some of these bench rotations by JB Bickerstaff once this game wraps up here. But to fill everyone in who has tuned in with us so far, the Cavs currently trail the Knicks 99-95, 35 seconds to play, and the Cavaliers are inbounding. Mobley is about to pass in here, and I'm sure this is going to get into Donovan Mitchell's hands somehow. And I was right. Dumps it off. Allen dunk. It's a 2-point game again. Hey, credit where credit's due. Bickerstaff, we have a lot of complaints with what he's done today, but that was a pretty slick play to draw up there to get a dunk for Jarrett Allen, excuse me.
This is
Earl, how far behind are you on the stream?
I'm pretty far behind. I'm probably like 90 seconds behind you.
All right, so Earl is with us. He will chime in a little more. One-on-one Brunson versus Osman. Cavs need to stop Brunson. Miss, and they Knicks get the offensive rebound. Randle out-rebounds Mobley. 4.3 seconds left. The Cavs just fouled Quentin Grimes. He's going to go to the free throw line for 2 for a chance to ice this. Osman forced the miss from Brunson on a step-back pull-up from about 17 feet. No one boxed out Randle and Mobley. That's on Mobley. Got to put a body on Randle, who's crashing the offensive glass. And the 6'9" power forward for the Knicks grabs the most crucial rebound of the game to this point. Killer.
Man. Mike, I don't know how much far ahead of you are than me. Yeah, I just saw him hit that foul shot.
Yeah, me too. It's 197,
Okay.
4.3 seconds.
All right. We're on the same then.
Yeah.
You're a little bit ahead.
Quentin Grimes, an 80% free throw shooter, makes this. It's a 2-possession game. Nothing but net. It is 101-97 with 4.3 seconds left. The Cavs do not have a timeout. Mitchell, they're not going to foul him. He's going to get 1 half-court heave. He misses it. Game over, 101-97. The Knicks take game 1 here from the Cavaliers. Frankly, it was a disappointing showing for the Cavaliers in this one. Home crowd, we talked about the importance of winning game 1 here, knowing what is ahead of them in this series with Madison Square Garden and that environment and some of the Cavs' woes. Guys, I'm going to turn off my TV so we don't get in trouble. I'm going to step out of the shot for 1 sec. Earl, Anthony, immediate reactions.
Earl, lead it off.
I mean, disappointing, man. Jay said it Friday. You worked this hard to get home court advantage, and you lose it in the first 48 minutes of the playoffs. Outside of Donovan Mitchell, man, I felt like the effort, the intensity, the energy was not there. Donovan Mitchell showed up ready to play, diving on the floor for loose balls, jumping in the crowd. His energy was there, and his teammates just didn't match it. And that's unfortunate. I understand for a lot of these guys, this was their first ever playoff game, but I kind of expected more from them. My point guard had 1 assist. That can't happen. And so things like that, hopefully they can clean it up. Both teams shot 40% or less in the first half. We knew that with the long layoff from their last game that they played into their first playoff game, you would see the rust, but I really thought that they would kind of get their legs up under them and kind of get their stuff together come the second quarter. Karis LeVert, a lot of missed opportunities at the basket. Dean Wade, airballing 3-pointers. You just didn't get much help from your supporting cast outside of Donovan Mitchell. And that's unfortunate.
Help. I think that's a lot of my early game reaction. It's just that we don't have a bench, especially compared to the Knicks. I mean, they were getting outscored, 30-8 at one point. It's sad to watch as soon as our starters come off. It's been like the Cavs story for as long as I've been a Cavs fan. The starters come off and we go down by 15.
All right. So where do you guys want to start? Just so everyone in the here knows, thank y'all for tuning in with us. This is the production team post-game show here. We're going to break down the Cavs 101-97 loss here. Anthony is monitoring the chat. So if you want to yell at us, that is on Anthony to make sure he sees it. All right. I'll give you my overall thoughts, then we'll dive down, dissect it piece by piece. Couple things. This was a game I thought the Cavs had to win for 2 reasons. A, Jalen Brunson was in foul trouble in the first half. He only played, I believe, 11 minutes in the first half. If the Knicks' best player, second best player, I think he's better than Randle, but whatever. If one of their 2 best players is only going to play half a game at home in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, that is a game you cannot lose. That is a game you cannot lose because especially for a guard, it is very rare that those guys are the ones in foul trouble. You also have Julius Randle coming off a high ankle sprain. That's a 6-week injury. This was his first game back in 3.5 weeks. I think he's only going to get better as he plays. This was a, kind of get loose, find your rhythm, get back in the game type situation for Randle. And even though he didn't play spectacularly, I thought he played enough. And last but not least, we got to start with JB. And I'll toss this to you guys. In the first half, he went on a 7-minute stretch where he left Dean Wade, Ricky Rubio, and Karis LeVert on the floor. And in that 7-minute stretch, the Cavaliers were outscored by 14 points. Dean Wade's plus-minus in 7 minutes, -14. He airballed a 3. He hit 2 free throws. And that 14-point swing in that 7-minute stretch in the first half is what eventually cost them the game. Now, the Cavs came back. They took the lead late. But for the majority of the game, they were playing catch-up. And where did that lead come from for the Knicks? In that 7-minute stretch that I believe JB in that situation. You have to make a move. Once you see it start going south, call timeout, find other ways to get those backups minutes. But to keep those guys in for 7 minutes straight.
I mean, to your point, though, like this is the playoffs, right? And you can't have a guy like Donovan Mitchell sitting on the bench that long and the lead is steady growing. It's getting up to 8. It's getting up to 9. He finally brought him back in the game, I think, when the Knicks was at the free throw line and Cavs was already down 11. And things like that can't happen at this particular time of the season. You got to shorten up that rotation. You got to make quicker adjustments. And when your team is down like that with your best player on the bench, that can't happen. You got to do something to kind of swing the momentum back in your direction. And he failed to do that. He truly did. And where the hell was Danny Green?
We'll get to that. We will get to that. Do not worry.
That was the first thing Mike said to me when we joined this call is Danny Green's still on the bench. And I agree. I think JB's rotations were poor at best. And Dean Wade, if his shoulder is still bothering him so much that he's bricking those shots as much as he is, and he's not getting back on defense, why is he in at all?
Yeah, they don't have a backup big. And when they traded Kevin Love, they did that with the idea that Dean Wade could fill in as their third big man. They're not going to play more than 3 bigs, and Wade is a modified big. Like, he's not a traditional center. He's not Robin Lopez, but we're not going to see Robin Lopez, and we're not going to see Mamadi Diake for a reason. They think Dean Wade's their best option at that position, and if that's your best option, guess what? It's going to be tough to beat a team like the Knicks. Real quick. It's game 1. The series is far from over. People can panic all they want. It is the first playoff game for the majority of the Cavs rotation. I don't think the series is done. I don't think we need to be in total panic mode, but I do think we saw some signs today that make me rethink the way I looked at this series. I'm looking at the team stats real quick, guys, and I'm gonna read you a couple things real quick, and you tell me how, in the grand scheme of things, the Cavs don't win this game. In totality, they had a better field goal percentage than the Knicks, 44% to 42%. They made more three-pointers than the Knicks and shot a better percentage from 3. The Knicks made 4 more free throws. The Cavs had more assists, fewer turnovers, and twice as many points off turnovers. The difference, they got out-rebounded. By 38, and we saw them late in the game. Julius Randle, when they had a chance to get a rebound and have a shot at the win, Mobley didn't look for a box out. Randle swooped in, got the offensive board, and twice in the last 2 minutes, the Knicks missed. The Knicks got the rebound, and when that happens, like, you can't win if you don't make the little plays late in games. And the Knicks made those little plays today. The Cavs didn't. Simple as that.
I mean, the Cavs are supposedly an elite defensive team. The Cavs are supposedly a team with 2 elite defensive big men. Yet you talk about we got out rebounded 51 to 38. I mean, 17 of those rebounds, Mike, was on the offensive end. So, I mean, the second chance points, the multiple opportunities that they're getting on the offensive side of the ball. The Cavs didn't play physical. They didn't seem like their heart was in it. They played soft. You got people in the chat saying they played soft. They played soft. Again, if you got elite big men like that and you're getting out rebounded 51 to 38, you gave up 17 offensive rebounds, which equivalent to over 12, 13 offensive, second chance points. It's like those little things like that will come back to haunt you in the long run. And those are things that needs to be cleaned up immediately before you play game 2.
And
when the threes aren't falling, I'm also looking at the box score real quick. I can't believe Allen had 14 points. It felt like he wasn't there at all watching the game. And I just don't understand how they didn't get them involved more the whole time. They came out in the second half, and that dart pass to Allen underneath, it looked like they were going to start working them in more, and it just never happened. They're still trying to run everything through Mitchell, and that's going to burn him out real fast. I think Mobley and Allen really need to step up if they're going to make a dent in these guys.
Earl, you and I have talked about this off-camera pre-show, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% sold on this idea yet, but if you look at the modern NBA, most big men can shoot, or at least have some semblance, and very, 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 very few teams play 2 bigs together when neither's a threat from 3. And you look at some of the Cavs' offensive struggles tonight. No one outside of Mitchell was able to really create their own shot, like just objective fact. Garland did a couple times, but for the most part, the Cavs were unable to create their own shots. And it's tough when you have 2 guys in the paint, in Mobley, in Allen, with 2 large human beings too, and Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle, all within that same semblance, and it forces you to play on the perimeter. Now, Donovan Mitchell is elite at making shots in that regard. Some of his step-back threes, his side steps, he is unbelievable at doing that. But other guys, mainly the threes, Okoro, LeVert, Wade, Osman. They're not in that territory, and they need more space to operate. And I think the Cavs are going to have a hard time winning in the long, not just tonight, just in the long picture, with Mobley and Allen in the front court together if neither of them can shoot.
All right, so not to look too far ahead, but to look ahead, I think that this series, win or lose, or this playoff run, whenever it's over, I think is important, because this is what you're going to go back and what you're going to evaluate to see what adjustments and what changes needs to be made going forward. At this point, you've put yourself all in on Donovan Mitchell, right? And so the Cavs' top priority is to do whatever you can do to make sure Donovan Mitchell is happy, to make sure you're building a team around Donovan Mitchell. And so looking at the roster as constructed, once the playoffs is over, they might have to make some changes to how they deploy this lineup. As you said, teams typically don't have two big men that can't shoot. You look at Minnesota, they got 2 7-footers, but Cat is a shooter.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is not. And so I just think that this is a evaluation process. Even though the Cavs are in the playoffs and trying to have success and trying to move forward, things are still being evaluated for the long run, as you said, because they're going to see in this stretch run, like who's built for the moment, what areas on the roster that needs to be improved, and how they can go about this thing going forward, because everything is going to come down to what do we got to do to keep Donovan Mitchell as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, no, I agree with Earl there. A lot of this comes down to what adjustments can they make going into the rest of the series. And I'll be honest, as long as they win this series, I'll consider the season a win. I think that'll really put some icing on the cake. If they lose out, it's gonna be hard to keep Donovan Mitchell here. And I don't know, all that evaluation, does that go out the door if he walks out? You've gone all in. And I don't know where they go if they get swept or if they just bomb the series.
All right, let's take a step back and focus on today before we get into 2 years down the road with Mitchell. I do want to focus on before we do the Danny Green conversation. Let's give the Knicks a little kudos where kudos is due. Jalen Brunson made tough shot after tough shot late in the game. That dude is a wizard offensively. Julius Randle, his first game back in 3 weeks, he did some things tonight that I didn't think he'd be able to do in his first game back. And Knicks got some dudes on the bench, man, between Josh Hart, Quickley, Quentin Grimes. Like, even when they Hartenstein, their big man, when they go to their bench, there's not this significant drop off we saw like we did in for the Cavs. We didn't see that big drop off. So kudos to the Knicks for coming into Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The crowd was electric. Cleveland, I was down on East 4th for the first half of the game. It was popping, and I felt like Cleveland showed up tonight and did their job as a city to get the Cavs in a position to win. But the team didn't show up to reciprocate that. That's the Knicks' kudos. The Cavs, on the other hand, certainly had their downfalls here, and I will die on this hill. I'll die on this hill. Danny Green needs to play. And you could tell me that he's old, he's washed, he can't move. Well, guess what? That may be true, but these two things are also true. I know he can make threes if left wide open, which we saw Okoro not doing. I was tracking up what Okoro did today. The first 4 possessions of the game, he got cooked by Brunson. He fouled them once. Brunson got an open floater the second time. He missed the 3. He got the ball back, and he shot. He passed up the 3. He tried to drive and got called for a charge. Then he passed up another 3. He gave it back to Mitchell for a step back. He made it. 4 possessions in the game. I thought he looked shook. Didn't think he could play. So at least Green gives you a shooter. And 2, does it really matter who's guarding Brunson? The dude's going to take fadeaways from the post anyway. And it's like Kevin Durant. It doesn't matter who's playing defense on Durant. He's going to get a shot. I don't think it really matters who's guarding Brunson because he's going to shoot over you no matter who it is. So if that's the case, and he cooked Okoro, he cooked Jetty, put me in with Green, see what he does, and if he can't make shots, take him out. But I at least want to see what a guy with 164 career playoff games can do before we just ignore that option on the bench, plain and simple.
I agree with that. I mean, you look at it, we've talked about this off camera a lot. With Isaac Okoro out there, you're pretty much playing 4-on-5. there's no threat of him to make a jump shot consistently. And so teams are not going to defend him. They're not going to guard him. They're going to go guard somebody else, maybe double Donovan Mitchell. I seen Evan Mobley get doubled a lot. And if he's not hitting shots, then he is a liability, regardless of what he quote unquote brings on the defensive side of the ball. And so at this particular stage of the season, come playoff time, you need guys that can get buckets. And Danny Green can get buckets.
We think
from what we know based on his playoff history, he can get a bucket. Mm-hmm. And you need that. Isaac Okoro 0 for 4 from 3, 1 for 6 overall from the field. Like the hesitation to shoot wide open shots. Then when you do shoot shots, you're not taking really the best shot available to you, and then you're not making the shots. And so if Brunson is still getting his, then what's the point of him logging as many minutes as he logged? What did he play today? 23 minutes.
Yeah.
23 minutes. And he really didn't have an impact on the game at all. So, yeah, I need to at least see what Danny Green can do. If you're going to play Dean Wade, you can definitely give Danny Green some minutes as well.
I'm just saying.
If you don't think anybody's going to be able to defend Brunson, you might as well put someone out there who can at least score with him, right?
And listen, like Okoro did a good job staying in front of Brunson, but it's like you can stay in front of KD, he's going to shoot over you. Like Brunson is the kind of player who will back you up and take a fadeaway jump shot over whoever. Like it's not less of a shot at Okoro's defense and more of just the reality that I think he's going to back into you, do his little fadeaway, and it doesn't matter if you have Giannis guarding him. Well, I guess maybe Giannis is 7 feet with long arms. That's not the good example, but Danny Green's bigger than Okoro. If he's going to take fadeaway shots over a defender, why not put the bigger defender in who at least isn't going to be scared to take the three? And there was a couple times in the first half with Okoro that he passed up an open three after missing two. What did he finish? 0 for 4 from 3, right? He ended up making one.
Yeah, 0 for 4.
0 for 4.
So
1 for 6 overall.
I think. Listen, we saw Danny Green play 2 games at the end of the season in meaningless games. He put up stats. We don't see him in practice every day. If they see something in practice like, hey, we can't play him, then I have no idea what he's doing that Okoro and them aren't bringing to the table. So I don't know. I'll die in the Danny Green hill. I'll die in the hill. He has to play.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it. That 3 position is tough, right? And so we knew that Okoro was going to log minutes. We know that Osman was going to log minutes. Karis LeVert was going to log minutes. Karis LeVert had played 18 minutes, had 3 points.
He was bad tonight. He was bad.
He was awful tonight. Where's the Karis LeVert that we thought had become a consistent threat off that bench for the Cavaliers? These dudes just didn't show up tonight. And like I said when we kicked this off, to me, Donovan Mitchell came out and asserted himself as that dude.
Bad man.
He let you know that he's here, that he's the leader of this team. And I think he did everything he could from an emotional standpoint, a leadership standpoint, to get his guys' engines revved up, and they never got there with him. I mean, he even, the whole flare up with him and Julius Randle there for a minute. He was doing whatever he could do to get his guys ready to go. And it just seemed like they couldn't match his energy to save their life. And this is the result of it.
We got a super chat, Anthony. You want to read that real quick?
Yeah, I cry myself to sleep knowing a llama will never have the pleasure of bouncing a basketball. Poor, sweet, furry creatures. So interesting super chat from Srudy over there, but we will read them.
If they come up, we will read them. I see it. I'm looking at the chat real quick, and Anthony, you got to click on these if you want to pull them up. But
I'm going. This one's flying by. You were not kidding.
I see some people saying you can't play Garland and Green together because they're both bad defensively. I mean, yeah, that's true. But like I said, I don't frankly think it totally matters who's guarding Brunson because he's going to get a shot no matter what. Like, Okoro can play good defense on Brunson. He's still going to back down Okoro. He's still going to hit him a little shimmy shake, do the little fade away, and it doesn't frankly matter who's on him if he's taking shots like that. So my point is, at least we know Danny Green's not going to be scared to step up and take shots. And the Cavs, in my opinion, need a guy who at least will take that 3. And we've seen Danny Green make 3s before. We've seen him make 3s before. We literally have never seen Okoro make a playoff 3. Do you know why?
Because he went 0 for 4 tonight.
He has 0 playoff 3s in his career. Danny Green's played 164 playoff games. So he's won 3 championships. That's the guy who's not scared to take a 3 when needed. And you could just see, as good as Mitchell is, and Mitchell, guys, this is why you make that trade, by the way, because you need a dude like that in the playoffs to carry your team when the rest of the team doesn't show up. He is unfreaking believable offensively. He's a savant. But one player is not going to beat 5. And unless he scores 71 points again in the playoffs, which I don't think has ever happened in the history of the NBA, the Cavs need other guys to step up and play better, plain and simple.
I mean, what other guys, though? Because, Mike, we know what the quote-unquote big three is. Mobley had 8 points, 11 rebounds. I mean, I can't get past the fact that Darius Garland literally had 1 dime this entire game. And so it's like, if Mitchell is going to be putting up 38 a game in this playoffs, like, who else needs to step up? And, like, what do you think that they need to do as far as, and what ways do they need to step up, should I say?
I mean, everybody. I mean, straight up. The one thing that, a couple of things were frustrating me. Did you guys think that they ran a single offensive play the entire game?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think so at all.
I really noticed it after I saw G's tweet about it, actually. I was more paying attention to certain matchups, and yeah, they just ran high screens the whole time, and if they couldn't get the space, nothing happened.
Yeah, and that's what they've done all season. So it's not like they have a deep repertoire of offensive sets to really dive into, but I think they have to find ways to get Garland into the paint so then he can dish out to other guys. Like, Garland has to be the focal point, especially early, to get him more involved so he feels like he's contributing a bigger factor. When he's going and he's getting 2 feet in the paint, that opens up dump offs to Mobley and Allen and all these other opportunities for other guys. And I thought it started, like when the game first started, who was the one player that had the ball in his hand 9 out of 10 times in the first quarter? It was Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
And as good as he was, and I think he had 11 points in the first half, it's not hero ball because it's in the first quarter, but it's isolation basketball. And when that happens, other guys tend to zone themselves out, fade out, and I would rather let everyone else get involved first and then let Mitchell take over. So I've just kind of switched the script and let DG be option A in the first quarter, let Allen take over when he has to, but let DG get involved, get Mobley touches, try to find other guys to make a bucket or two, because like I said, if Mitchell's going to score 50, it's going to happen, but everyone else needs to step up as well.
I agree. I think they tried to get DG in there a little bit early, but he genuinely looked shook. I got to give credit to Barrett. Barrett was all over him in that first quarter when it all started off. I think he caused at least 2 turnovers within the first 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Darius Garland cannot log 43 minutes and only shoot the ball 13 times.
Yeah.
Like, that can't happen. I mean, Evan Mobley shot the ball 13 times. Outside of that, nobody else took more than 8 shots this entire game for the Cavaliers. So I don't know if the moment was too big for them. You know, hopefully it's just game one jitters. A lot of these guys has not played in the playoffs before. Hopefully they see what happened and they see it's real. Come this time of year, it's real. You know what I mean? You got punched in the mouth. Are you going to get up off the camera and come back and do something about it? And that's to be determined right now. But to your point, I mean, they kind of exposed some things about the Cavs that was issues all season long. And, you know, as fans, not just people who cover this, you know, professionally for a living, I think we kind of get lost into that it's legit 2 different seasons.
Yeah.
You know, the regular season and the playoffs is 2 different seasons. And we got a heavy dose of how real it can get and just what our flaws are and how far we got to go.
I'm going to put on my Cavs optimism hat here for a second, all right? There we go. Positive vibes only here. They didn't play a real game in 12 days.
True.
None of the Cavs starters had touched the court in a real meaningful game since April 4th against Orlando. That is it. And I'm going to hope that we haven't played in 2 weeks. We're rusty. First playoff experience. Electric crowd, national TV. We know it's a different game. Defenses step up in ways we didn't see in the regular season. And frankly, blame it on JB, blame it on the coaching staff, blame it on the players not being mentally ready. They weren't ready. Just plain and simple. They weren't ready. Positive Luke, positive McNuggets here. Game 2 is a different story. They can't shoot worse for the majority. Like, the team can't shoot worse. In the first half, I tweeted this out. In the first half alone, Cavs not named Donovan Mitchell were 10 of 30 from the floor and 1 of 11 from 3. Like, literally outside of Mitchell, they can't shoot worse. So they have to play better. And despite, frankly, a pretty damn terrible offensive performance in totality from the Cavs, they lost by 4. And had they boxed out, they had a chance. And once again, had they boxed out is not just something we could pass over. Mobley has to be held accountable for not boxing out there. You cannot allow Julius Randle to crash the glass untouched, get the rebound. But had they got that rebound, you had Donovan Mitchell down 2 with the ball and 23 seconds left. I'll take my chance in that situation every time. So I don't think it's the world's falling yet. I think there's some positives to take away from this, considering they did not play well and they still had a chance to win this game.
I mean, if I wanted to put a positive spin on there, in the first half in particular, right? I seen Karis LeVert drop to the basket 2-3 times, miss some easy layups. I seen Ricky Rubio hit his defender with a smooth crossover, get to the basket, miss the easy layup. I seen Dean Wade airball a wide open 3-pointer, right? So for me, you gotta hit those open shots, right? You gotta hit those shots at the basket. You know what I mean? Those bunnies, those are gimmies. You gotta hit that, and you just gotta make your shots. And the Cavs didn't make shots. Now I get it. The Knicks didn't either. You know what I mean? And both teams has not played a meaningful game, but they were ready, and we were not. And that's only when your team is not ready to play, that will always fall on your head coach, no matter what sport you're in. Yeah. And JB should have did a better job of having them ready to go, understanding the moment. And I get it, Mike. For some of them, you know, the moment might have been too big. The butterflies probably was real when you see the crowd understanding you're on national TV and everything that's going on. But for you to be the head coach of this team, that is your job to prepare your team for things like that. You had 10 to 12 days to prepare them for what was to come, and they wasn't ready for that. So,
I mean, I agree. To try and keep it positive though, the defensive side of the ball, I don't think was that bad. I think Randle made a lot of tough shots that not a lot of people are going to make. They they play Sunday, so they have a day to look over everything. Or no, they play Tuesday. Sorry, I'm 2 days ahead of myself. They have days. This is where we're going to see what JB's made out of. He couldn't adjust in halftime. He made some, but we're going to see what they come out with game 2. Because I'll be honest, if they were scared going into game 1 today, I don't know what they're going to be like going into the Garden if they're down 0-2.
Well, game 2 is a must win. And another thing that we're still in positive mode here, I tracked the game. So this is an unofficial count. Unofficial count. Like this may not be the exact number. I counted 16 missed shots within 3 feet of the basket for the Cavs. 16. Those are layups. Yeah. Those are shots that NBA players need to make at a very high rate. And as a team, the Cavs missed an unbelievable amount of bunnies tonight. And you missed 16 of those. For the most part, you got to make them. They lose by 4. Let's say you make 12 of 16, 75% on layups. You win that game by 10. It's not that simple, but I don't think they could humanly possibly in any world shoot worse around the rim than they did today. So we got a super chat.
Yeah. So do you guys think the series will go 7 games? I tweeted out right before the game started. I have Cavs in 7. I think this is going to be a dogfight all the way down to the end. After that first game, I'm a little skeptical of my own prediction, but I can still see this going 7 games if they make the right adjustments and they come out swinging in game 2.
Earl?
I mean, I said Cavs in 6 before the series started. I'm gonna stick with Cavs in 6 until further notice. You got to definitely go out here and you got to win game 2. I still think the Cavaliers are the better team. I think the Cavs have more talent, but they just need to show up and play much better than what they played. Darius Garland cannot have another performance the way he performed tonight. Evan Mobley definitely got to play better than what he did. Anthony said it earlier, man. Jarrett Allen's stat line was not bad, but if you actually watched the game and you looked at it with the naked eye, it just seemed like, man, his presence wasn't felt. It just seemed like such a soft performance.
Yeah. So I tweeted out before the show, Cavs in 5. I talked myself into Cavs in 5. I went through the numbers. The Knicks were not a super efficient offensive team in the regular season. Mm-hmm. One of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the regular season. I think it's harder to score in the postseason. And I probably jumped the gun on that and hand up my bad. I still think the Cavs can win the series. I'm not throwing in the towel yet. It's one game. I thought the Cavs were going to win tonight. I thought the Knicks were going to win game 2. It's just going to be reversed now, in my opinion, and they have to win game 2, obviously, because I think if you're down 0-2 heading to New York, Madison Square Garden, that's tough. So I picked Cavs in 5. I'm going to still stay with Cavs in 6 now. New York came out. New York was impressive tonight. Like, it really was, to come in a Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, a situation and a situation in a crowd that really was advantageous to winning for the Cavs, and just disappointed that they weren't able to deliver, because they just weren't that far off. That's the frustrating part, man. They weren't that far off, and you lose by 4 and you have a 7-minute stretch in the second quarter that absolutely destroys you, man. Those are the ones that I remember going back and playing, and like in college when we would lose a game by 3-4 points, but it was really one stretch that you just couldn't overcome. And those are the ones that sting the most. Another super chat, Anthony?
Yeah, another super chat. We got some positivity. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. It was close without us making shots and giving up a bunch of off rebounds. If I'm the Knicks, I'm nervous. I almost lost. I agree. If I'm the Knicks, I'm looking back at that game, and I think they should have probably wholeheartedly won that easier than they did. And maybe that was because Brunson basically didn't play the whole first half. Had he not gotten into foul trouble, I think we would have seen a lot different of a game.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you could spin any game however you want. You could look at this as the Cavs as, hey, they missed a lot of shots and still almost won. You could also look at this as the Cavs have home court advantage heading to the series, and now they don't. So you can spin it any way you want to spin it.
Here's the other part of it, though. It's not like the Knicks played great, right? Yeah. And so I expect the Knicks to be better than what they were in game 1 as well. And so I just hope the Cavs come out in game 2 ready, because
Season's on the line. Season's on the line.
I mean, Randle, you come back from a high sprained ankle, which in the NBA is usually a 6-week injury, and you balled out like from jump. The fact that Brunson played 9 minutes in the first half due to being in foul trouble, and the Cavs was not even close to leading that game, that was an issue to me. I expect both teams to be better, but I expect the Cavs to play up to who they are. Like, seriously, just play up to who you are. You should never be getting out rebounded 51-38. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Evan Mobley is up for Defensive Player of the Year, and you couldn't tell today. You couldn't tell today. That elite front court that the Cavs have, you couldn't tell that it existed. We talk a lot about the Cavs having an elite front, and the Cavs, their pace of play is the slowest in the NBA. We talk all this noise about how the pace of play slows down come playoff time, and it slowed down, but it didn't help the Cavs at all. None of the things that we thought that were strengths for the Cavs played in their favor tonight, and that was mind-blowing.
Yeah, I actually think the Cavs need to get out and transition and try to run more, frankly, because New York's defense is not shabby. Tom Thibodeau is one of the best defensive minds in basketball, legitimately one of the best defensive minds in basketball. And in the postseason, he's going to find ways to muck up what you want to do offensively. And I'm curious, and hey, if anyone's a Knick fan in the chat, I'm curious your guys' take on this. Anthony, I'm going to ask a question if you see this in here. Do you think the Knicks intentionally said, hey, if Mitchell's going to get 50, he's going to get 50, but we're not going to let anyone else get theirs? I know they left Okoro open, but they didn't help off a ton of other guys when Okoro wasn't on the floor. So I haven't watched enough Knicks throughout the regular season to know if that's something they did throughout the regular season or not. But if anyone who watched more Knicks than I did throughout the regular season, was that something that Tibbs, a defensive philosophy Tibbs, employed more often than tonight? Because it's something we talked about the other day, Earl, on Friday. Sometimes you let the best player go do his thing. I mean, there were times in the postseason that Kobe would have 45, and the team would say, Kobe, you're getting yours, but no one else is going off. And then there's the reverse of that where, hey, we're not going to let – it wasn't tonight, but we're not going to let Donovan Mitchell beat us. If Garland's going to have 50, Garland's going to have 50. Cool, but Mitchell's not going to want to beat us. So I'm curious, and I'll do some research for Monday, and I apologize for not knowing this going in, if that's something that the Knicks do often. But I see a couple yeses and a couple nos.
I would just say I would take play games here. I'd take their word for it. I know they're a Knicks fan from reading chat every day. They pop in, they talk some smacks about the Cavs. So I would trust their opinion. I'm sure they've watched some Cavs games.
Knicks.
I mean, I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm going to trust their opinion as well and say, like, I don't think so as well. I think that he tried to stop Donovan Mitchell, but guys like Donovan Mitchell can't be stopped. You can just only hope to contain him. What I did see in this game, and I don't know if it's a Knicks thing, and maybe a Knicks fan can help me out. I noticed that every time Evan Mobley touched the ball, they went to doubling right away to get the ball out of his hands. And so, I don't know if that was just strategic to this particular series or that's just how they play basketball, but I thought it was smart. As soon as he touched the ball, they doubled him to hurry up and got the ball out of his hands so he couldn't be effective at all during the game. So
you know what's funny? And just in that last 3 minutes, we're talking about things that we thought Tibbs might have done and stuff you noticed with Tibbs. Can you point to anything that you saw in reverse with the Cavs that they did differently than what we saw in the regular season tonight?
No, that's the problem.
Honest to God, can you point to one thing that was different than something we saw in the regular season tonight from JB and the Cavs staff?
No, not at all. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say at halftime, I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, when are you gonna bust out something new? And I figured, first half, let them ride. Second half, make the adjustments, show them what we got. And I didn't see really anything change. And it's really disheartening to watch a coaching staff like that, throw that away.
Like we said, everything is up for evaluation, right? And I know it's just one game and we don't want to overreact to one game, but a lot of the issues that people have with JB Bickerstaff throughout the season, clearly, if you're looking at the chat, are the same issues that people are having with him right now. And so when we talk about this being an evaluation period and we understand that Donovan Mitchell is the priority, I just hope that JB Bickerstaff don't find himself on an out because he failed to adjust. We talk a lot during the football season about Kevin Stefanski being able to adjust to the other team adjustments. Now it's time for JB Bickerstaff to get back in the lab and figure out what adjustments need to be made before Tuesday so you don't go to New York down 0-2. Because if you do go to New York down 0-2, then everything ain't looking as bliss as we thought. So
No, and I'm just thinking of some things that I didn't see tonight. And listen, in-game adjustments are easy to talk about and very hard to execute. I played D3 basketball. I got a D1 basketball education. Jim O'Brien was my coach. He took Ohio State to the Final Four. He took Boston College to the Elite Eight. I played D3 basketball. We always had the best coach. And in-game adjustments are so easy to talk about and so difficult to actually execute because you practice one thing all week for 3 days, gearing up for something, and on the fly, you switch it. And there's always that one guy in the court doesn't pick it up quickly. So, granted, they're difficult. That's not mean they're impossible, but they are difficult. If there aren't adjustments for game 2, whether it's double teaming Brunson when he turns his back to the basket, run a second guy to make him pass out. He's 5'10", 5'11". Okoro, Green, whoever, guess what? That's long arms, and you run someone else at him. That's not a big guy to pass out. Jalen Brunson's an all-NBA caliber player, but I've seen enough of him making mid-range jump shots. That's it. I've seen enough. I don't want to see him shoot any more mid-range jump shots. Make someone else beat you. I want to see when Julius Randle drives right, he's always spinning back left. I know it because I watch. I've watched him play enough.
So he got to know it too, right?
If you know what's coming, then guess what? Make an adjustment. Have a guy dig in that side. Make whoever's in the corner, take a step down and dig him out. Make sure he can't make that spin back. Make him finish with his right hand. He's predominantly lefty. There's a couple things that I think that, from my perspective of watching, you can do just to junk it up a little bit, just to get them off the rhythm, just to make it a little different. So it's not, that's mean, but it's just a little time after time after time.
It made me laugh.
Just so it's not exactly the same thing back to back to back. And listen, we could talk about it, man. When you're playing in the game, it's you versus another dude. It's not. You're not rewriting a book in game, but they're just
hooping,
dude, to kind of change up something so it's not I'll use a football example. Ready? If you're playing zone coverage every time and you're getting torched, and we did this for Joe Woods, what do we say? Play man, right? Just try it. If it don't work, it's not like zone's working. Do something to get them off their offensive rhythm. And like I said, Brunson's so good, man. He's so freaking good. But I'm so sick of seeing that little 5'10" dude hit fadeaway jump shots like he's Hakeem Olajuwon in the post over Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, Jetty Osman. I can't, man. I can't.
You know what? To furthermore on this JB thing, we know the Cavs don't have a deep bench. We know the Cavs bench is not really that good. So as a head coach, you understand what you have. And I think the best head coaches, they make do with what they have. They play the hand that they're dealt. He's not playing the hand that he's dealt the best way possible to me. Like, there's plenty of things that you can do different that you haven't done different. There's plenty of things that you can do to get your team prepared for big moments like this. Clearly, you didn't do that. The Cavs didn't have it tonight, and it seemed like the moment wasn't just too big for the young guys who had never played in the playoffs. It seemed like the moment was too big for JB Bickerstaff. And the moment can't be too big for your head coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, they got out rebounded. The bench was terrible. And also the Knicks bench was really good. I don't know the final bench stats, but didn't the Knicks have 32 bench points and the Cavs had 9? I think
Hart had 17 alone.
I was just about to say Josh Hart balled.
He's
had
good.
9.
I said Josh Hart would have been the perfect pickup for the Cavs at the All-Star break or the trade deadline, excuse me. And he didn't go for much. I think they only traded a second-round pick and some money for him, but I could be way wrong. Actually, don't quote that. I'm gonna look that up. I might be way wrong.
I agree. I would have taken Hart. I think one of the craziest facts I heard during the game too was this is his first playoff game. I thought he was. I know he's been in the league for a while. I thought he was coming in with a little bit more experience than his first game, and he definitely showed up to that first playoff experience. He was ready.
He played in a lot of big games at Villanova. He's no stranger to the spotlight. But he's good, man, and he's a gamer. And I'm not sure how many quote unquote gamers the Cavs have. Like I'm just gonna go down. This is not a shot. Like, it's one game. Listen, we could have a totally different conversation after game 2. I don't think the sky is falling, but is Dean Wade a gamer? Like, do you look at him and say he's a gamer?
You know, honestly, early in the season, I thought there might be something there when they went on that 8-game stretch, and I don't see it. I don't know if
Ricky Rubio a gamer, like a dude that you want to go to war with in a playoff game.
Nah.
Is Karis LeVert?
Nah.
He's a maybe for me. Like, he's a hit or miss.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Give me Karis LeVert with the fro, not Karis LeVert with the braids. Karis LeVert with the fro be balling. He get them braids in his head, and he just get lost out there, man. Seriously, the 40-point game he had earlier this year, he had the fro out. I'm not making this up.
Well, he had 50. He had a 50-point game I think 2 years ago. But I don't know. Oh, in totality, we'll go for 5 more minutes here. Make 2 more thoughts here. In totality, an ugly loss because the game itself was ugly, but I do think there are areas that are at least fixable. You can make more bunnies, right? The Cavs missed a lot of easy shots around the rim. You can make that. It wasn't like schematically they were completely blown out of the water, and they're gonna make more shots because they physically literally can't shoot worse. And if they do, then we're having a whole different discussion about something that went catastrophically wrong. So, Anthony, final thoughts on game 1 and your big prediction for game 2.
Final thoughts. I was disappointed by the weak start. I'm happy that they brought it back to a 4-point loss.
Yeah, 101-96.
It's a big stage for those guys to step up on. You know, I understand the nerves. I think game 2 they might. I'm putting my foot down. They're going to come out. They're going to win game 2, and they're going to go into the Garden with a little bit more confidence. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to sit this team down and really, really get them ready for this next game. Donovan Mitchell came out and was pure hustle this game. I have full faith in him to take this team under his wing.
Disappointed. You know, the Cavs didn't come prepared. They didn't come ready to play. They didn't defend home court. They just didn't. It's a lot of things that I expected them to do. They didn't do. As far as game 2 goes, I just expect them to be better. I expect them to shoot better, but I also expect New York to be better. And New York does have a deeper bench than we have. So I'm not trying to overreact, but I think my eyes was open to some issues that I thought were just regular season issues that I thought, come playoff time, things would be a little better. But you get what? I think we got 12 or 13 points combined coming off our bench.
Mm-hmm.
That can't happen in game 2. The unforced errors, being out rebounded the way that we were. Darius Garland, man, I need more from you in game 2. Yeah. Evan Mobley, I need more from you in game 2. I can't stress that enough. And JB Bickerstaff, bro, if a coral is an Achilles heel, you got to take him out. You got to try something that you haven't tried. What's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw real quick before I give you my final thought. I saw a comment that said, "How do you teach rebounding?" It's effort. It's blocking out. It's having the awareness to know, hey, this shot's going up. We literally need the ball for a chance to have a shot at the game winner. I can't not find somebody, put an elbow in them, box out, and get that rebound. Like, that's how you teach it. You're not going to teach someone a skill they don't have in 3 days before game 2. But rebounding and defense are all effort. It's all effort. My final thought on game 1. Disappointing, but I don't think the Cavs can play much worse. So at the end of the day, I think you're disappointed that you lose game 1 in front of the home crowd, but there's a lot of things that are fixable that can be fixed for game 2. Does that mean they're going to fix them all? Hell no. Probably won't. Can you fix some of them? Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say is, Jason Lloyd, if you are still on Danny Green Island, I am still on Danny Green Island. I've never seen the show Lost, but you can make a remix 2.0 2023 version of me and you on Danny Green Island. I will die on that hill. I think he needs to play in game 2. And if he doesn't, I'll cut part of my hair off for game 2. Done. If he doesn't see the court in game 2, I'll go like this and I'll just cut a piece of my hair off straight up. Done. I will. There you go.
No, that's a YouTube short I'm excited to post.
He's got to play. Plain and simple. He's got to play.
No, I fully agree.
All right. That'll wrap up the first ever post-game show for a Cavaliers playoff game. The UCSS production crew holding it down. Earl the Pearl, Anthony, myself. We will have a show on Monday. We'll recap this more with the usual panel. We'll get Brad, Jason, G, Jay, Bull, all their thoughts on this. Game 2, Tuesday night. Better be a dub because I don't want to cut my hair. For real.
Yeah.
So Danny
Green's got to play.
I shouldn't have said that, but
I'm going to roll the
I'm
out
a man of my words.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, play it out, and we will see y'all Tuesday. Have a good
Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names.